escapism is beyond compare. Our head who gets strumming, devils whisper in the air. With Demi Wormy and Kenzo, it's a wild affair. Whoa, welcome to the BLM, where the devil made me do it. With green HairedAnti-Liberal, causing quite a riot. Slam young infamous, turning up the heat. Let's call for redemption. We dance into the abyss.
How's it going? Welcome to another episode here on Wrong Think. As you know, I am Devil Made Me Do It. Here with a couple of my friends. We got Drew Outstanding. How's it going, Drew?
Excellent. I hope you're all doing well. Hot summer, so I'm hanging in the heat a little bit, but
Yeah,
no,
it's
doing good. It's interesting times for sure this year, and just everything going on. It's just a nonstop news cycle. It can't take a breath without some new random weird thing kind of going on. But
yeah,
I'm in here for it.
Yeah, you're 100% right. You can't. The news cycle never ends. Every time one thing comes out, you get, you're sitting there going, "What the hell's the world coming to?" They're all like, "Hold on, we got something behind right here." Exactly. And then second, we got green-haired anti-liberal. How's it going, Tiff?
Good. Glad to be here. It's been a while since I've been on this. So, yeah. Hi.
And then we might have Beard of Liberty coming in. Toasty said she can't make it, but we should have a fourth here in a little bit. Let's start off with since it was just kind of announced, Jack Smith refiling to indict Trump on subversion, election subversion. He's trying his hand again, hoping that the courts won't knock it down. I don't even know how you do that. You think it'd be like some double jeopardy situation, but either way, they're still trying to go at him, saying that he tried to subvert the last election, even though all the stuff that has come out that essentially proved he was 100% right. I mean, they just did that audit in, was it Arizona? I think just got done with their audit and literally said that they had a list of all the ways that 20,000 votes here that were false, 15,000 votes here. You add them all up, I think Trump won hands down. But somehow
stuff too that they're opening up about or correcting and this or that. A lot of changes.
And didn't Georgia also have something before the Maricopa County came out?
Yeah, I think a couple of the states that were the key, ones that gave Biden the win essentially have all kind of done an audit and all have said, yeah, there was actually plenty that wasn't right.
Shenanigans.
It's so many variables all at once. The mail-in, the double counting, all these things, paper, absentee, like what time they came in at, when they're reported, like it can all sway things completely. And then you add in like the Pennsylvania stuff. I paid attention to that. A lot of they went against their state constitution or something like that, breaking a lot of these laws and allowing it. It got really nuanced, but they did some weird stuff in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, that's the thing. Everyone has this idea that you need to have this massive kind of thing where you still every state. No, you have to still just a couple counties in a couple key states, and you've got yourself a presidency. That's
strategy
as easy as it is.
The strategy just gets more in depth, more concentrated as every 2 or 4 years or kind of whatever it is. So, now it's ballot harvesting and mail-in ballots. And so that's what becomes like the standard, going forward. And then every side will just have to like use it to their advantage somehow.
Yeah.
It's like
Hey, what's
changing
up,
the rules
Tim?
of Monopoly as you start playing. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
let's throw money in the free parking, and then when you land on that, and then it just kind of goes from there.
Yeah, and then if you start to lose, you just flip the board over situation. That's essentially what the left does every single time.
Literally with riots and burning down things, and yeah, it's
Yep,
flipping the country over right now.
keeping the country locked down for months past when it was necessary for the COVID situation. All that was all part of the plan, all part of the idea of getting Trump out. But like I said, it doesn't matter now that they're so open to admitting what they've done, because like I said, they'll never get held accountable. Some of the stuff.
Or they want to come out with it right now and saying, "Hey, we kind of did," like Mark Zuckerberg, if we can get into that. We did some stuff we're not too proud of. Don't prosecute us, bring us in front of Congress. Can we just? We know might win, more than likely will win. Can you take it easy on us later?
And there's also people that don't even want to pay attention, let alone pay attention in general. I don't know if you saw the recent OMG James O'Keefe video for the Act Blue. Yeah, out in Colorado, that one lady, she was just like, oh yeah, I totally could have done that. $264,000 in the last how many ever years or whatever. I used to once a month, $25, blah, blah, blah. Like the things that she was saying, I was just like, you seriously believe what you're saying. I can't even comprehend how she believes that the Democrats winning will help us.
It's propaganda, manipulation. It's appeal to emotion, and that's what old people, sick people feeling like they get offended everything. They just want to have things given. That's the easy way, and it doesn't work out in the long run for anybody.
Yeah,
eventually you run out of other people's money.
That's exactly it. They had I can't remember. It might have been James O'Keefe back when he was with Project Veritas, but they had this thing where they went to people's houses who said that they donated. On the books, it said that they donated, I believe, to Act Blue. It might have been part of Act Blue, and they went there and said, "Did you donate money?" And the people were all, "No, I did not." Well, right here on the books, it literally says you gave X amount of money to the Democratic Party. No, I never did. You think that'd be like a red flag that, like, at some point somebody might look into, but like I said, you're never going to get anyone to actually dig deep, because I bet that happens a lot. And I'm not just saying on the left too. It could be the right doing these same bad things. It's just no one looks into the corruption. No one ever looks even deeper. And that's one of the things I actually have a problem with Trump on, is because he sold us that he was going to drain the swamp. Well, that's something really easy you could do to drain the swamp, especially now that you're not running again. You have no excuse. You can't even sit there and say, well, I don't want to affect my money, like my campaign money. Clean that shit out. Like, that is ridiculous. Because what's the point of even having caps on how much you can donate? What's the point of even having caps on where you can get the money from if you're going to just leave these big gaps open for corruption and people to back end money through these things?
At this point, it's probably always going to be there. Just the way we use money now, we don't use cash and bring it from one city to another, or to the bank, or from a job to the bank to you, like how a lot of us grew up. It's completely different. It's all direct deposit. It's swiping and tapping. And I think for a lot of older people, they don't even see it come out of their check, whatever, or their bank account. So it's just it's in and out, their investments or their Social Security or whatever goes in. And I'm sure they get calls because they're bored and they pick up the phone, they click on the wrong thing on the internet. And now I'm donating to people who I didn't think that I was donating to, or they thought I was going to go somewhere else or whatever. They don't know, the way they write these policies and terms and service now. And it's just, and there's a lot of old people and they get taken advantage of.
Could you imagine right now, for all we know, they could have on the books on Act Blue that all three of us have donated, $1,000 to Kamala Harris, and we wouldn't know shit about it because not like I said,
Right.
it's
You
not
don't
like
know
you
that
can.
your name's
It's
being
the way they name
Yeah.
things. Freedom funds. I think it was the Minneapolis Freedom Fund or Minnesota or something like that that Kamala Harris donated or either donated to or told people to donate to. And it went right bailing people out of the riots, which I was activated for in the National Guard. And we were not we, but the state were putting people away, taking rioters out. They go in and they get right out because they'd get whatever, a ticket or come back or call this number. And it was a revolving door for like 9 days. It was weird
Actually,
stuff and nightmares.
Yeah.
Actually, I would love to see Kamala Harris's like donation books, and it says the devil gave her $1,000. That would actually be great. I'd be like,
Gotcha, bitch.
yeah, you've been figured out. Nah, like I don't know. I think this is the reason people are getting so disenfranchised. People are getting so just losing
Like,
all
what's the
hope in
point?
it. And like I said, in certain parts of the government, that's exactly what they want. They want us to all lose so much hope in it that we just give up on the process completely, and they can just put whoever they want in and say, oh well, if everyone's not going to vote, why don't we just we'll elect who our leader is. Kind of like how they do in England, where like you elect the party, and then the party decides who amongst their party gets to lead it. That I could see them wanting that, because just tell us which party you want to be in charge, and then we'll decide who gets to actually make the rules. And it's like, what? We kind of fought a war so we didn't have to put up with your guys' shit. Now we're pulling your style of government? That's retarded.
Yeah, it's
But
ridiculous.
yeah, and like I said, you're right. I don't see it stopping unless we literally had a revolt, and I don't see that happening.
I don't know.
It's just
not
too
enough people
ingrained in people.
care. They're too busy, too lazy.
We're also separated.
Yep.
It's a big ass fucking country, and states are separated that agree with each other.
Cities are like whatever taking over, and the rural land is where things come from, farming, whatever land, like all this stuff that brings to the cities, but the cities are making horrible policy choices and election choices. What are you supposed to do?
Right.
That's why I donate to beggars in suits.
Yeah, I use
Devil.
the Act Blue stuff.
The party.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, all this like 1984 and all these like novels, sci-fi novels, all these things talk about these empires that like take over. And then
they were warnings.
Yeah, it's
not
like
handbooks. Like it's not a.
They came from somebody somewhere. Somebody just didn't make it up. More than likely, they lived through some horrible stuff in the World War I, the Depression.
George Orwell did, and that's why he wrote that. Animal Farm and 1984. Like,
yeah, it's when you were reading Animal Farm, it was you read those and you listen to them in my case, and you're just sitting there going, oh my god, it's the what's the word?
World we live in right now.
Similarities.
Similarities, the connections and stuff. You're just like, Jesus, it's creepy. And
it's probably not outside of what happens over time in societies as they get larger. I don't know, whatever makes societies fall. People talk about the Roman Republic and the Roman Empire, or how it changed from one to the next.
Yeah.
So supposedly we're past due for that collapse. Like they said, all major kind of powers that built up, especially fast, collapsed by X amount of years after they were
250 years or something like that.
Yeah,
every empire really fast. Yeah.
I don't know. I would hope not, but what can we do? It's like I said, if people don't wake up at this point, there's nothing that's gonna wake them up.
Some people think if they get in hard times, they're like, somebody help me. And then if the government's able to go there, they're like, oh, this is all good. But then it just makes things worse. Or if it wasn't there, they would figure out their own way and try to build something, in that struggle, because we've always had struggle in the 80s and the 70s,
Right.
60s, 50s, World War II, one, like all this stuff. And before that, Civil War. I don't know. It's always going to be tough times. The more I look into history, but it's like what you build from it.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. It's people have such short-term memories with it, right? Right now, we're having this kind of influx of people on the left who say, "Okay, I'm gonna put Trump in because even though I don't like the guy, even though he's a brash asshole who, I think is racist or whatever, at least I could afford to feed my family when he was in office. At least he did the good by the economy, and that's what we need. So put him back in office, right?"
Mhm.
You're kind of having this influx of the leftists, like I said, who are if they're not going to vote for him, maybe, but they're just not going to get in the way of it. They're not going to vote for the other guy. Only problem is these assholes are going to literally the very next time completely forget about all the shit the Democrats have been doing, how crime is spiked, all these things that have pissed them off to the point where they're not going to go out and vote. They're just going to ignore it. It goes right out the other end, and next thing you know, they're back to they're saying how the Republicans are all racist and the Democrats are the ones who are going to save us, and they count on that. The Democrats count on that completely.
Yep.
Otherwise, they wouldn't do the policies they do. They know that what happened with when Obama was in office, he did such a bad job. The recovery from the recession was so slow. We were in such a bad situation. Everyone was pissed there at the end. Now they're still talking. You'll have them talking about how Obama era policies, they were so great and stuff. I'm all like, do
What the
you
fuck they were?
forget? Yeah.
Yeah.
All the struggles we went through, like literally it was like the recovery was so
was a
slow
housing
and it
market
wasn't
crash.
till freaking Trump got in office and then went like straight up. Like
Mhm.
you guys don't remember that? Oh no, we just remembered
They don't know.
Obama.
Some people,
Awesome.
some they don't know. Some forget, but some of them aren't presented with that dialogue, that information, the facts, that it doesn't come up in their life. They go from one spot to the next and echo chamber.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Yeah, but then when things are bad, when they wonder why things go up in price, they're like, "Oh, it's just a tough time," or
Yeah.
those
No,
bad people over there. That's Wall
Yeah,
Street.
and then Kamala comes in saying that she's going to control the prices, and I want to.
Yeah, when she said that, I
Listen,
was
you
like,
commie fuck.
yeah,
You don't get to fucking regulate that.
It's either malicious or low IQ for somebody to think that
it's
price
definitely
control
low
is
IQ
either
for
a
that bitch.
good thing or can be done, and
Yeah.
the consequences.
Well, to me, it's just like messing with the minimum wage. Everyone still hasn't learned their
Mhm.
lesson. Now they're this pay people $20 an hour for basic bitch work. They don't, even though there was negative effects because the $15 an hour. We've lost so many fast food jobs and lower paying jobs here in California because of that $15 minimum wage. And now they went up it to 20, which is going to kill even more of those jobs.
Yep. And
They
what
don't
brings in
get it.
with the tablets, Taco Bell has these tablets. They have like two people in the place, and you just do everything by the tablets. Don't.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I don't want to go here anymore. But yeah, it's but that's a capital project. So a company can, and this is different with any company, but they can have a different budget for capital projects. It takes like, they can pay off over 7 years or whatever. But if it's labor, they have to pay that stuff. So they start investing in all this AI and then they get to a point where it's ready to go, implemented, and they're like, all right, now we're laying off 3 people.
Yeah.
But then they also raise the prices too in the meantime to pay off that long-term capital expense and also the current labor.
Yeah, they don't get it that by price fixing and all that stuff, they're gonna have problems on another end of it. It's that old saying, the most scariest sentence in the American or might be any language, I can't remember the exact saying, is "I'm from the government and I'm here to help." That's the kind of thing. Government doesn't fix anything; it destroys things.
Reallocate.
Yeah, they can't just sit there and say, okay, this chicken, with how prices are everywhere else for every other thing, this chicken is worth $6, this rotisserie chicken. Well, no, you only can charge $4. Do you think that company is going to keep producing chickens if they're losing money on every single one? No. They're going to find a different way to
Something with a better
somehow make money.
margin. you know,
Yeah.
or they're going to
And-
sell it to the other city, the other county, the other state. But if the federal government's doing it, like Kamala
they'll
wants,
sell to another
there's
country.
no, we'd have to go to Canada or Mexico to get like, and that what we're starting to do with pharmaceuticals.
And then people won't be able to get the rotisserie chickens, and then they'll be like, well, what are we supposed to do? And then there'll be the leftists
Here's
going,
your government cheese and government
bugs.
bread.
Yeah,
Mhm.
well, here's your bugs.
Taxes will get raised, and it will create a black market, and then it'll be the war on chickens, like the war on drugs or homeless or war on
And-
terror.
That's the ultimate goal, is they want you standing in line for your daily loaf of bread and block of cheese
Mhm.
that will eventually just be bread, and then you'll wait all day in line and you won't get any because they'll have run out 3 hours before you get to the front of the line.
Aesthetic. That's exactly it. I've talked about this before. If they can control certain aspects of your life, they control you. In survival stuff, they always talk about there's certain things you need to survive. You need warmth, you need water, food, sustenance, you need sleep. There are just these pillars that are necessitated to survive and be happy, essentially. They want to control every single one of those. They want to control healthcare, because then you're dependent on them for your safety, your well-being, your health.
Yep.
You know, they want to control the food source. Then
Why
you're
you think they
dependent on
push
them.
opiates so much? They want you addicted and continuing to come back.
Yep. They want to control every single aspect of that, because they know once they get you under each one of those pillars, you're never going to be able to fight. You're never going to be able to fight them, because you're going to feel like if you fight them, you lose out on these things that are a necessity to you to be happy, to be fulfilled. That's their whole plan, is get you sucking at the government tit, and then you're afraid they'll pull it away. And once they have that, you're done for. And so they want to control the food. I've already talked about it. Like in Chicago, for years you've had the left talking about food deserts. They're chasing all these stores out of black neighborhoods, and so poor black people can't get like anything but Hot Pockets and soda. They can't get nutritious food. That's why their health is going bad. And then you see them put these policies forward where they're not charging criminals for robbing these stores, making it impossible for these companies to make any money, because stores actually run on very small margins. It's the amount they sell is where the profit is. So that, like, let's say you buy a book. That book they sell you for $15. They had to buy it for $14. The reason they make money is because they sell quantity of those books. That's where the profit is. So when you steal from stores, everyone's all, oh, it's Target. They have a shit ton of money. I'm not hurting them at all. No, you actually are, because you're taking away that small margin of profit that they have. People don't get that.
Enough crime on that store, they leave, and that's I read a story. A lot of Walgreens, CVS, they're everywhere, and they're like, no, we're done. Especially in certain areas, they're like, we can't afford to stay here. Everyone steals everything. They just walk out the door nonchalantly. They just walk past the register, and it's everywhere. I've seen.
You want to know what's hilarious? Just a few blocks up the road, there's a gas station where it's completely boarded up, but you can still get gas at the pumps. You just can't go inside. There's like
that's apocalypse. That's like post-apocalypse that we see on TV, on movies, where it's just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna quick grab my fuel and get out of here, because there's horrible people without morals, because we lost that.
And it shares like a complex parking lot. It's like a strip mall type of area with a Walgreens. And when they said that they were closing Walgreens in certain areas, my first thought was, oh, my brother's going to have to get a new prescription location, because I bet that one will close.
Deep question. How many of you right now have the skills to survive completely if all the power goes out and national emergency occurs? Most don't have the skills anymore. I do, yet I'm Gen X. I would say I have a decent
I have the tools
chance
for it. Yeah.
I mean, I'm smart enough to make a fire and find food and stuff like that. But I wouldn't say I'm like guaranteed survivor. I'm not like Bear Grylls type situation where I'm drinking my own piss and
I'm not
can always
gonna
get
tell
better.
you the-
That's the whole
worms.
thing with it, is you can always get better at it. There's always, a new skill you
Mhm.
can learn. Yeah, I know a little bit about a lot of things, so I could get to a certain point, I guess, if the power goes out. And then you
Yeah.
just got to work with, you got to be a people person as well. You got to work with people saying, you can garden and I can, do this, or I got access to a lot of things. Let's work together, and then, and that's how, countries, cities start, is like, okay, hey, we both have a common goal to do well in this area. Let's work together. And somewhere we lost all that, but yeah, take on as many skills. Download survival books, I heard,
Mhm.
is a good thing to do
Yep.
on
Yeah.
an external hard drive.
I
Just
have food. See this right here. That's Harry Potter's room. The cupboard under the stairs. All
Mhm.
that is my pantry, but it also has like food with shelf life of 25 years.
Yeah.
So I prepped for that. And then I do still have my like survival handbooks from the military on hand. I'm out of practice with a lot of that stuff, but it's not going to be that hard for me to be able to pick it back up, let's say. Yeah.
I think that everyone, it's funny, about 4 years ago, I think, you had all the companies pushing gold. Get gold. If the government collapses, gold will be what the currency is. No, bullets will be what the currency is. If there's no government and you have a whole vault full of gold, guess what? You're a fucking target. That's all you are.
Yep.
If people even want your fucking useless metal, I mean, yeah, nobody needs bling when the freaking apocalypse is happening. So yeah, I'd say invest in firearms, ammunition, and like you said, food that can last, canned food, learn how to can food, jar food, all that stuff. And yeah, water purifying tablets, stuff like that will be worth a shit ton more than a brick of gold. I guarantee you.
I'm going to start buying up cartons of cigarettes so I can make sure that Sam can survive.
Yeah, it's and natural disasters happen, and we run on electricity. Grids go out, in Texas and
Yeah.
California with fires and all this stuff. Like, we live against nature. Like, it's just a matter of time, and then it's just how you survive. We get so used to air conditioning, heat, constantly between the house, the car, the place that you're going to. Sometimes you're barely out in the elements. But if power goes out, a lot of us like survive off medication that needs to be refrigerated.
Static.
Too.
I have emergency candles, my friend.
Yeah. So you just get better at it. Share tips. If you figure something cool out, a lot of us know ABF, alcohol in the finger. He has a lot of cool, stuff that he does in his spare time about that's related to survival and getting out in the elements. That's what it's about. We got this whole country.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping for this static that it happens during the winter at the very least, and I can just like keep stuff outside. For the freezer comment.
You can always level up.
But it's also good to have things like generators.
Yeah. If you know how to jar food, you don't have to worry about refrigerators. That's the best thing you can do, is learn how to preserve food, dry your meat, smoke your meat, so you have protein, vegetables, learn how to jar, how to you can pickle almost anything. Just like I said, because they're
fish hunt, just basic. Like, why wouldn't anybody want to know how to fish and hunt in the very least?
Yep. Oh, alcohol will be huge, because even when you're struggling to survive and shit, everyone wants to get hammered.
Well, not even just that,
and medical purposes too.
Yeah.
That's what the meetup will be after the apocalypse. Distilleries. So I'll meet at a distillery.
I also have like a bunch of rubbing alcohol too.
Find a way to distill. That'd be huge.
No, it's interesting. I mean, it's just basic stuff. I mean, all throughout history, people know how to start fires and hunt and fish and,
Yeah.
like you said, can, or, just hold on. Like, it's basically the idea of keeping assets, just something that you don't consume in a week or two,
Yep.
something that lasts for whatever, 6 months, a year, hopefully longer. And then you just keep repeating that process. And that's how you survive.
Yep. Hell, I have jugs of water. I wish I could keep drums of water, but
Yeah. I got the filter things. So
yeah,
the camping type places. One's called Duluth Trading Post we got here.
Yeah.
They're Duluth, Minnesota is awesome. You can do a lot of cool stuff up there and even farther. But yeah, they're starting to spread out. So that's a cool company.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
they
yeah, they
have
got
those.
water filters. You just pop it into like a bottle or a
Yep.
canteen or whatever. Or they got like the bigger ones too.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
so
they
you
have
put it in the
tablets now.
lake and it, yeah.
You can fill up a water bottle and they have these little purifying tablets that essentially throw in there and they will kill any bacteria in the water or any harmful bacteria at least. And yeah, I mean, like I said, get a big old bag of those. It's
Yep.
worth God knows what if the apocalypse happens, because that's going to be where your hardest thing is to get clean water. Without pumps running, finding clean water is essential. The first type thing. So you'll still have a bed, you'll still have your house, you'll still have a roof over your head, you'll still have food because there'll be canned food for a couple years after. But where will be real problem is the water. First and foremost is trying to get clean water. So, but man,
Good question. That was fun.
yeah.
No, it sucks to think about, but yeah, I mean, hurricanes happen, tornadoes, fires.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time until your area that you're in, gets more difficult than the kind of cushy life that we get used to.
Yeah, that's
Gal and I know military stuff. Like I've slept on dirt and rocks, and maybe what are those? The beds.
The cots.
Yeah, the cots.
But
sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. But
like the sleeping mats just on the ground, even.
yep. Oh yeah, the rucksack type sleeping mat
Yeah.
that became like the PT one. Yeah.
Yep.
No, yeah. Like I'm used to sleeping anywhere now.
oh man. See,
I
I
talk
haven't
about it
had to-
somewhat frequently. I slept in a tire well of a 7-ton.
Oh yeah.
It was
Good
just for a joke. It wasn't out of necessity or anything, but I'm tiny. I fit in small places and I can sleep anywhere.
Yeah, on convoys, I would find anywhere, whatever, cool or hot or whatever I needed it at the time to sleep in. You sleep in the most unusual places.
Yep.
I could just see her just like in the thing sleeping. They
stand
just
straight
start
up like
rolling
that.
it towards the hill. They're like slowly rolling it.
Yeah.
And
And that's really not sleeping. You're just kind of closing your eyes
Yep.
for a little
You're
bit
resting.
to just get a barely amount of rest. Then you're back up like an hour later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, fun times.
yeah, they
I can
sound
smell
like
the
it.
sand right now. The sand is going in my nose. And devil, you never
alright.
get the sand out once you go to the sandbox.
Well, isn't that any place where there's sand? You go to
But
the beach.
this
it's
is
like,
horrible
yeah.
sand. It's like the armpit of the earth.
Oh,
Yeah.
Kind of offense taken. Like, just, I don't know. I feel bad for the people that are there, but I know it's like that area's got so much historical kind of stuff, but it's a rough place to live.
don't worry. They're all going to be in Europe eventually. So next, I wanted to talk about Kamala Harris. People are talking that she wants to build the wall, and kind of just discuss how all of her policies are Trump's policies. That's essentially what we're having happen here. Is every time Trump comes out and says, "I want to do this," all of a sudden she's out a week and a half later going, "Yeah, actually, that's my idea. I want to do that." She did it with the tips, not taxing tips. She's now doing it with the wall, which is ridiculous because they literally have her on film, saying how racist and stuff. Her VP pick actually is on record saying that I'm going to go over to Mexico and actually help these people cross that wall if he builds it. And well, but I guess now you're building it. It's okay.
Yeah,
But yeah,
she's got
it's
what I think is she's got all the policies and no policies. She's exactly what it needs to be, and depending on the conversation, and just her website doesn't have any policies. Joe Biden's didn't have any policies. It's all just, like we said, appeal to emotion. But if something comes out like Trump saying no tax on tips, which is great for everybody involved, then she wants to copy that because that polls well. They're like, yeah, these, either low income or young or elderly, people making tips. Actually, like there's a lot of people make tips nowadays, so that might make a huge portion. So if that doesn't get taxed, those are a lot of voters that will go to one person or the other.
well, yeah, and the thing is, she's having people come out who are speaking for her, and I think the reason she's doing that is because then she can just claim whatever one is successful poll wise as, oh yeah, that is my policy. And anyone that doesn't poll great, she can always say, oh, they were saying that, but no, that's not my thing. So she's using a lot of intermediaries to push these ideas out there of what she wants. But it just, how can these idiots who for years have been calling Trump racist for build a wall, like Mark Hamill, right? How can Mark Hamill sit there and have the cognitive dissonance to call Trump racist for years just for saying, I want border protections, I want people to come in legally, and then I guarantee you, if she comes out and supports that policy, because it probably will pull well. Like I said, a lot of Democrats are into having security too, and the border, securing the border. So it'll start pulling well, them floating the idea of her building a wall. So she'll come out and endorse it. And like I said, you're going to have Mark Hamill sit there and go, she is such a great, look at what her plans. They're so great. Even though, like I said, he called Trump racist for him. How can you be that fucking just,
Let's be honest here. First of all, she's not coming up with any policies. She's
That's
just a newer, shinier puppet than the current one we have sitting in office, slightly above her. And Democrats have always supported walls when it's around their homes and around the buildings that they're in at the time. So this whole thing where she keeps like stealing other people's policies, she's not stealing shit because she's not doing anything. She's just doing what she's told and giggling while she does it. There's a reason that she isn't doing interviews. She's not going out there because she's going to make an ass out of herself because she doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. I don't care that this is now her new talking point, because that's all it is it's a talking point, because they know what's going on with the country that they've destroyed for the last 4 fucking years. And they know that they're the ones that destroyed it. The optics of everything, anything and everything that they do right now are terrible, because everyone's seeing, well, not everyone, like the example that I brought earlier, this old lady that's retired and just thinks the Democrats are her saviors. But the normal people that just thought following Democrat policies were the bleeding heart liberal types that didn't want to look anything up, those normal people are seeing it in the real world and they're not liking it. So these talking points that she's given and told to say, or her policies that she's adopting, it doesn't fucking matter that Trump has been saying it the entire time. It just matters that real people are actually seeing it, that used to be on their side, and they're awake enough to understand that it's the current administration that has let this shit happen. And they're scared to death to lose those votes. So they have to backpedal and say, oh, well, we're going to do it right. Even though they're the ones that stonewalled and wouldn't let Trump do it when he was in office. They're a bunch of hypocrites. And it's just par for the course at this point.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. Politician's going to politician. I'm not surprised that this is what she's doing, because that's exactly what Bill Clinton did. Bill Clinton, espoused all this far leftist stuff, but when it came to the actual elections, he would jog to the center, and Democrats were doing that for years. They would sit there and they would denounce all the crazy left shit they said during the when they're running for office. The second they get into office, then they can go back to the far side. So I'm not surprised that she's just going back to tactics that worked before. They didn't have to do it last time. They didn't do it during Obama's time, but that was a special situation because Obama wasn't anointed, you Saint Obama. But so this is not new. Politician's going to politician. It's funny to me, the amount, like I said, of this cognitive dissonance, this idea that they can just put away all logic when it just suits them. Like I said, for the years they called him racist, and then now
my pushback on that though is like the people that you're talking about are the ones like the Mark Hamills. They're just going to say what they're told to say. Those aren't real people, and this is where it's the real people, like that's the reason that they're saying and taking on all of these policies now, is because they realize that they're losing real people. The fucking polls out there are never accurate. The only poll that I ever trust is Richard Barris. Richard? Michael, is it Richard Barris? The political pundit guy.
The name sounds familiar, but I can't.
Not guessing.
He can't hear me.
But it's not about policy. It's about power. Yeah, people like Mark Hamill, they don't probably even know what the policies are for border or ICE or Medicare, the national debt. Has he ever said anything intelligent on or accurate, I guess, on policy? No, it's all just mean orange guy and all this stuff. So it's all just like, oh, they're going to mass deport the whole country and all this stuff. It's all or take away women's reproductive rights, whatever that means, or healthcare. Now they call it healthcare. They went,
But I give with Mark Hamill, but I'm just using him because that's why I don't know the every Joe who votes for Democrats name. But there are people out there who it's not money that's making them do it. It's just they're able to set aside common sense and logic because their side. The blue no matter who situation, it doesn't matter if, like, Kamala Harris came out tomorrow and espoused a policy that is adamantly against where they are as a party, they would probably still champion it because it's her turn and all this shit. And it's just I can sit there and say, when I hear Trump say something I don't like, I can acknowledge it. I can sit there. I've done it, every president since then. I criticized the shit out of Bush. I thought a ton of his shit was stupid. All the shit that, starting wars and stuff. Dude didn't deserve to be in office the second term, straight up. But it seems like the left has really just gone to this point where, like I said, even when like if Kamala Harris came out tomorrow and said there were good people on both sides, they wouldn't give her shit for it. They'll still blame Trump, even though it's come out, they've admitted how fake it is and how that's not what he said. It doesn't matter. She could say the same exact thing and they would say it was poetry.
If people aren't voting for a person, they're voting for whatever, the ham sandwich with a D next to it, then we don't have any sense of an executive power. It's a party. You're saying anybody in the party, and you kind of mentioned that earlier with other countries. You're like, oh yeah, that party go in because they make me feel good, and then they'll pick whoever they want to do, like you said. But it shouldn't be like that. Our government was never set up to be like that. Even George Washington said it shouldn't be a king, and even if it is a president, I don't want to be. It shouldn't be a president the whole time, So it's getting pretty disgusting when it comes to, oh yeah, Joe Biden, oh no, yeah, Kamala Harris, oh now she's out, or grab somebody off the street and make them Democrat, or whatever. It doesn't make any sense, especially with the pairing lately with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard, two past Democrats within the last a year or so are like, vote for Trump, we're on his transition team, we're can do this, we might start an information leakage, opening up information even more than it's supposed to. or it's supposed to be a lot more.
Yeah.
With this
Static.
comment from Static,
Yeah,
I didn't say it was just Democrats. I would just like
Yeah.
to clarify. The they
Yeah.
I was talking about was the Uniparty.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I don't sit here and say Republicans are white sheet, pure, no. The sheen of the Republican Party was off of me years ago. I think they're just as bad as the Democrats. Well, I wouldn't say just as bad. I think it's like you're arguing between a 10-pound bag of shit and a 5-pound bag of shit. They're still bags of shit, there is no good party out there at this particular moment.
And I mean, back then it was a whole hell of a lot of neocons that we're also trying to get rid of. So
yeah. But since you mentioned it, I wanted to get into that too. Both JFK Jr. and Gabbard have been essentially tapped by Trump to be on their transition team. That's a pretty smart way to olive branch. I would say for Gabbard, they demonized her pretty well the last time around. She just wasn't on the bus fully, and so they weren't going to have none of that. But I think people have lined up to her because a lot of the moderate Democrats who were like, I'm a Democrat, but I'm kind of not on the board with all this trans bullshit and this intersectional crap that is just, but I'm still Democrat. I think a lot of them see this as a way of going, hey, look, he's actually reaching out across the aisle, not just, getting one Republican to vote on something and then saying it's a bipartisan bill. He's actually reaching out to people on our side of the thing because in their mind, these people are still part of that, even though the left would probably say they're not. Like I said, they don't want to claim JFK Jr. They sure as hell didn't want to claim Tulsi Gabbard, and now she's jumped to our side. So,
yeah,
or I wouldn't say our side, the right side of things.
I still think he needs to be careful.
Oh, I do too.
Because his first term, he was not careful with the people he trusted. And I'm not saying that RFK and Tulsi are not trustworthy, but RFK, I don't like more than half the shit that he spews.
Yeah. Especially
Tulsi,
not on Second Amendment.
Yeah. And Tulsi, even on the Second Amendment, I don't like it. I do like Tulsi for the majority of takes from her. But it just, if he brings them, like if he made deals to bring him on into his cabinet, he just needs to be careful who he places where and how much power they have to do anything.
Yeah.
Depending on the situation.
We're going to disagree with we're not going to completely agree with anybody that's going to be in a position. But the point is, if they're not good in a certain area, like 2A, 1A, then they're in a spot where they don't touch that at all. They don't have any impact on the federal government related to those items, whether it be Secretary of State, war, UN type stuff, so yeah.
If she has, I can respect that, Static. But
hey Beard, welcome.
Howdy. Sorry, I'm late.
Oh, no problem.
Slacker.
I've been going for like nearly 3 hours already.
That's what she said.
Don't bitch about no 3 hour. I've done 10 hours a day streams. Are you kidding?
Yeah, look, I'm just getting used to doing like 5 or 6 hours in a row between the other shows and my own game streaming. I'm still adapting to it. I'm an old man. Give me some time.
Good job.
I'm gonna get Beard to do a 24-hour stream. It's gonna happen.
That's 24-hour endurance politics. I definitely don't have.
we'll all be like ready to end ourselves after the first 7 hours. We're all like, I don't want to talk politics no more. I don't think anyone's ever done a 24-hour stream on politics. They've done it on games.
Crowder's done it on. I don't know if he's done that much, but he's done a lot.
Has he?
If you do it, the best time is going to be like on a Friday, because they're going to do the Friday news dump of all the things they don't want us to know, and then we can have plenty to talk about.
Yeah, I've heard of a few do politics ones, but yeah, they got to be drained.
You got to
that's mentally draining just by itself.
Yeah.
Well, you also got to think of some clever ways to burn that much time because you blow through politics. Like I have 6 or 7 things to talk about, and we're gonna be lucky if we make the 2-hour mark, because you just go through it. There's only so much you can say, so you'd have to really get creative. Like I would have to do like a bracket of politicians fist fighting, who would win. Like okay, next up, Obama versus Trump, brass knuckles. Who got the upper hand here?
Hey,
I'm
just saying, I could fill some time because of a joke. It's just like a side joke that I threw out one time while recording a podcast with some friends. I've discovered politician romantic fan fiction.
Oh, no.
What?
I don't want to
It
know.
exists.
Oh.
Yes,
Close
it
my
was.
ears.
See, the one specifically that we read a little bit of was Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz. And it's as bad as you expect it to be. It is terrible.
That sounds
Disavow.
scary.
I don't want that in my mind.
Not being able to sleep for a week, like terrifying.
Anyway, sorry, I just came like busting in like the Kool-Aid man and derailed.
No, that's fine. That was good.
No,
We're just talking about policy, power, does it even matter with parties and stuff? I was wondering like how many people have only voted for like one party like their entire life, in all the different elections, on either side, or compared to people who have voted for more than one in their history. I was curious about that.
I've always said this. There's so many in our group that or at least on our side now of stuff, that they started out actually more liberal. They'll sit there and say I'm classic liberal, or I used to believe in all the stuff the liberal. It's just they woke up to the bullshit.
Yep, that's true.
I started out as full on conservative. I've always joked that I came out the womb, and when the doctor slapped my ass, I said I'm going red. I
just fell into it with like taxes and freedom, and then
Yeah.
there's obviously a lot more to it than that. You learn in your 20s and 30s and on.
Yeah, before I realized that the Republican Party was just as willing to steal money from me as the Democrats, that was my idea. I've always thought theft is wrong, and I've always saw taxes as theft. I've always thought that raising taxes and taking more of people's money is disgusting and wrong unless it's absolutely necessary, and it doesn't seem like it ever is, but they'll do it anyway.
Yeah.
So that's why I've always been more on the conservative side. I just was always like, I don't think the government should have any business in my life. Bar none.
Yeah. Me
so,
personally, I was lived my entire life in Texas and not usually around a big city. So you can probably guess how I was raised. And I think I can actually potentially say with maybe a couple of local election, I probably have only ever voted Republican. But my views have changed as I've gotten through there because the Overton window has shifted. So now as I've shifted more center libertarian-esque, well, suddenly that's, the extreme right. So now I'm still voting Republican because it is the lesser of two evils, and we'll make no bones about that. And I will vote for the least terrible outcome that I think will actually have a chance of making it into office. So while I do absolutely wish that we could have a third or fourth party or whatever that actually had some legitimate chance to get in there and do some real damage and change some things, so far it just hasn't happened because the only people willing to, in my opinion, to vote for, say, a libertarian or a third party, just generic third party, are people on the right. And when you do that, you end up basically sacrificing so much to the left. That's a really negative way to look at it, but I think it's fairly realistic, at least.
And I think it is
the
changing
system we have right now.
And I think before you came in, unless you caught that, we were saying that just the amount of power that these parties have and have gained over time. I think George Washington said that there shouldn't be about parties, be the individuals. And I think Tim Pool has been talking about not having the D or the R on the ballot anymore. So you actually got to know the name of the person you're voting for, even if it is
no more
that
straight ticket.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that, it's weird. It just keeps getting easier and easier to vote, and it shouldn't be like that. Soon it's going to be like text to vote, click the link,
Mhm.
scan the
Mhm.
QR code. You know, it's just getting easier and easier, and it probably shouldn't be that way.
No,
No, I
soon
mean,
it's going to be
voting-
preemptive voting.
Yeah, voting,
They're
you
just
used to
gonna
have to
say-
like own land and things. I mean, now granted, that's kind of nice that everybody who is actually a citizen that has the rights apply to them can vote, but it should be a little bit of effort that you have to put forth to actually go someplace, stand in a long ass line next to somebody you don't want to talk to, but they won't shut up.
Sometimes it hurts though too, because like I said, you could have somebody who's so dumb as dirt, they don't vote because they know anything about anything. They vote because they're
Yeah.
told to vote that way. And their vote counts as much as yours. Somebody who actually does the research, actually looks
Yes.
into these things, actually is looking at the consequences of these policies and what's going to happen to our country because of them. And then they could have this person standing right next to you who they just go, guess who's bad? The Republicans. Guess who you should vote for? The Democrats. And they go, okay. You're like, okay, so this asshole's vote counts as much as mine? Like that,
Yeah.
that does kind of
Probably
hurt.
happens on both sides. You
Oh
know?
yeah,
So-
oh yeah. There's people who vote.
But I
Yeah,
can
so-
see where one party or the one party would be more of that than the other. But
yeah,
it's weird.
There's a saying, at least in the Marines, I don't know if it's military wide, but it's complacency kills. In Minecraft YouTube, don't be a bitch.
Too
The
late.
phrase
No,
though
I'm-
is just the first part of that. And you brought up how easy it is to vote, it's becoming to vote. And earlier we talked about digital currencies, basically, how we all get money just dropped into our accounts and then we use a card or we just shop online. There's no physical anything. And a lot of that comes from the convenience. Everything that we want in life needs to be convenient. And what convenience causes is complacency. We're becoming a very complacent society because everything is so fucking easy. And that ultimate result is commie bullshit death.
Well, yeah, it
Yeah.
leads to people that will whatever manipulate, however you want to put it, get to the finish line faster, and turn
Yeah.
as many people, step on as many people as they need to get there. And then what do they do when they get there? They were good at getting elected, but that doesn't make them good at being in the position.
Yeah.
And so it's like, congratulations, you went around all these hurdles underneath things to get elected, and now you're horrible at it, which is probably what is people want to see when Kamala Harris, which was put in there, didn't win a single primary, didn't win a single vote to get into the spot. And that's that was a good thing, is I've been hearing a lot more Democrat, like kind of how we brought this topic. Democrats are coming out and saying, hey, something weird is going on, or that portion is going way too far to the left. We're not like them. We're realizing they have bad policies. We just stayed with them under the same circus tent because we'd be called names if we told them they were wrong. And I think they're not starting to say it. I saw Gavin Newsom on a clip where he's like, yeah, that was kind of weird. I would have ran or something like that. I'm kind of paraphrasing, but he's like, yeah, we didn't get a primary. It's just Kamala jumped right in there. He was doing it in his nice kind of way, but you could tell there was some underlining,
I was about to air quote
lizard like. You could tell there was some underlining, resentment.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but if he were to speak out, then
he wouldn't get a
no
spot in
chances for
2028,
2028.
2032.
Yep.
Whatever the case is.
Yeah,
I guarantee they have I can't guarantee, but in the Army, we always had 30, 60, 90-day plans. The deployment coming up in a year, 2 years, training schedules that go on and are detailed, and everyone's assigned to different things. Like, I can't imagine these parties don't have the same like career progression for each one of the person, and they probably move them up and down depending on how they're doing or who they pissed off or what kind of whatever they're getting back or money or whatever the deal is. But I'm sure they got plans.
Who Hillary took care of because they looked at her funny.
Yep, and it's companies, it's big companies, it's Hollywood that now all the stuff that we talk about with the culture stuff, Disney, Warner Brothers, all this. Same kind of things. Politics leaks into it, and they leak back and forth into each other.
Well, here's the thing. I agree with you that they probably had this was planned to subvert the primaries.
This shit's been planned since Yuri Bezmenov was telling us about it.
Yeah, because they couldn't get her in otherwise. She had 1% last time, less than 1%. You can't sit there and say that with all of these 4 bad years that somehow that 1%, less than 1%, has now become some massive supporter.
Don Lemon has been doing some like street work in a bunch of different cities and was telling Jen Psaki about how the majority of people he talked to, Black people, whatever, on the street, had no idea who she was.
I believe it.
And that goes against their whole thing that the polls are tightening.
I think exactly
that's bullshit.
Polls.
Yeah, I think it is completely and utter bullshit. I think all these polls are just bullcrap. They are freaking fudging the numbers any way they can to make it look like she's even half as, and that could go straight into our next topic, which is Elon Musk put out a poll. Who would you vote for? Trump, Kamala Harris.
Oh,
Trump,
really?
I believe, resoundingly won, and
Is
the
it
left
over?
has lost their mind. Yeah, it was like a week and a half ago.
Oh,
It was a
okay.
while ago, because since we do this every 2 weeks now, sometimes some of the stories are like old news at this point, but new to
I've
the
been
conversation.
seeing Elon Musk either retweets or tweets or posts, and they're all like bangers. Like they have common sense, they're critical thinking, they're pointing out something that's really going on.
Yeah,
in both culture and politics.
I could actually bring that one up.
Earlier, I was talking about the polls. It is Richard Barris, and he's the People's Pundit. That's the only polls out there that you should be looking at that are actually accurate and based off of real information. Because guess what? Republicans, people voting for Trump, they don't fucking answer the phones. I don't answer polls. I'm not putting my name on a list.
Yeah, I don't either. You're 100% right. I wouldn't answer to take a poll for nothing. Why would I?
Yeah,
they're probably online now too. It's probably like email or text links that people probably click on.
I get that shit all the time. The text messages, and I'm like, I'm not answering your fucking questions, whether it be the right or the left. It's not happening.
I just forward them to whatever that number is from my carrier that's like marks them as spam. It's like, I don't care. It's like, I like you actually, probably will vote for you, but I did not ask for this. Fuck off.
I think I still have it. There was a text that I got where some Democrat or whatever supports Bernie Sanders and whatnot. And I replied to it. God, it was so funny because their reply was immediately, we'll remove you from this list or whatever. God, I have to.
Yeah, it gets annoying. I mean, like I said, the 24-hour news cycle, it's always a new thing. But then we have all this content too. And you got to stay positive at the same time we were talking about at the beginning, because it's a marathon.
I would not like your poll.
So I found it. This is what I replied to them because it's so and so of Bernie Sanders. I was like, Bernie has betrayed his supporters over and over again since the DNC screwed him in 2016. What makes you think I'd care who he endorses now? Speaking of the wealthy few, how about those millionaires, Bernie? And your second home, or is it third now? Please feel free to remove me from your lists. And they immediately replied, I'm opting you out of texts immediately. Have a great day.
Mm-hmm.
I saved it just because I'm a petty bitch.
You should print that out and frame it, put it on the wall.
I should.
So 73.2% of the people voted, and it's almost 6 million people voted, said Trump. Now, every one of the polls you see, they're all like, "Oh, look, it's completely tied up." They're not according to Twitter, and you've had people sit there and say, "Well, Twitter's so far right now."
Yes.
I don't know if that's necessarily true. I think there are more people on the right, but not by some massive margin.
No.
Yeah,
everybody who claims that Twitter is a cesspool of ultra extreme right wingists are on Twitter because they want to keep track of these people that they hate, and so that they can keep claiming that they're ultra extreme right wingers and things like this. So, and I guarantee those people voted in this poll as well, because They were like trying to offset the numbers. They didn't want it to be seen as a win. So yeah, as he says, it's a super unscientific poll, sure, but it's no less or more scientific than the ones that these other outlets intentionally like poll fewer R's than they do D's.
Yeah. All polls, all these posters, all their stuff is skewed. Like Gal said, Republicans don't usually do polls. They just don't.
Yep.
They don't want to answer the phone. They don't want to frickin' sit there and talk about politics with an asshole who's on the other side who wants a different answer than they're going to give. So yeah, they usually do 2-1 pulling Democrats.
Or they're not even online too at the same time. Because I met a ton of people at conventions and even our meetups and stuff. They're like, I'm like, oh, are you on Twitter? Are you on X? And they're like, nope, not on that, not on Meta. You know, they just do YouTube or Rumble or just do normal, whatever construction type jobs. And they're like, yeah, I just listen to whatever thing. I don't go on to any kind of social media or do anything. But they're probably going to invite or vote for Republican. More than likely, especially or RFK. I heard a lot of people were RFK, like, okay, he's got my policies, so I'm voting for Trump because of RFK.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's frustrating because it does seem like some really low down dirty tactics, this idea, because I think what they're trying to do is get people to stay home. They're seeing they want up to that point. Going up against Biden, I think a lot of people were really excited to see Trump, actually get the win that he won last time and was denied. And I think they're trying to kind of get them to sit there and go, oh no, and stuff with these fake polls. I think that's what their purpose is trying to, like I said, kind of, what's the word?
Manipulate.
Yeah, manipulate us out of it seems like the flood they're gonna get. Yeah,
they have to, because like you said, she was so unpopular. Nobody wanted her in the first place, but she was always going to be a problem for them, because if Joe couldn't do it, she had to, because she's a woman and she's not white. They could not replace her with anybody who did not hit those two criteria, because they have put that so forward in their party. But they know she's incredibly unlikable. So they have to put these polls out there that make it seem like she's likable. And some people, certainly nobody here would suggest that then they could, provide some manipulated numbers later on, potentially at some point, in order to make it look like certain outcomes happened when they didn't. You have to make the lie believable by setting it up. It's like when I was a kid, if I wanted to not go to school the next day, I didn't just wake up in the morning and pretend to be sick. I started acting sick the night before. I was good at that shit. You have to set up the lie. So, yeah, are they going to do that? I don't know. I wouldn't put it past them. But either way, none of those, neck and neck polls I have ever believed. Not just with her and Trump, with Biden and Trump, or anybody else. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think this is them trying to set it up. That's all it is. I hope that people don't fall for it, because it's the same thing that they did with the last election. I think a lot of the reason they admit is because they want people to feel like, why would I even go out and vote? Why even do it if they're just going to cheat? It's almost like they're psyching people out. And I think these polls are just another step to that, another idea for them to sit there and say, we'll psych people out. We'll get them so disheartened with the process that they'll just say, oh, well, they're just going to steal it from Trump, so why would I even go stand in line anyway?
Well, there's a two-part to that. If they're disheartened that it's so corrupt and everything that's going to happen, then what happens next? What happens in the next 4 years, 8 years, when you kind of let this keep going? Maybe it's like, I'm just gonna set it out. You can only sit it out for so long till the war is at your doors.
Well, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Yeah. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Evil prevails when good men do nothing.
Yeah, when you sit there and let them manipulate you like that. I had to say the same thing to my parents, because my mom was, after the last election, she's all like, why would I vote this time? They're just going to steal it again. And I said, because that's exactly what they want you to think.
It's like a trap. It's like, hey, here's a thing, we're stealing it, or we're making it look like everything looks like you did, but they're not saying it. Then it's like a trick. And then the second part is then it gets people not to come vote next time, and then they win that way. And then it's like a legitimate win, right? Compared to like the illusion one, the one before. I don't know. You got to stay positive in some kind of way, that you got to up your game and level up, and like you said, do research, look at the policies, look at the candidates, especially local, and then that that has a big impact. More people are seeing that their local government has an impact on these raising of property taxes, on water bills and stuff like that. You ever look at a water bill and electricity bill from the city? There's like 10 different fees on it. They're all small, but it adds up. You make a 50-cent fee on everybody in the city every month, and that adds up.
Yeah.
It's I guess I'm sure there's something in like The Art of War. Never read it, but I'm sure there's something in there that's probably the best war is the one you don't have to fight, or something like that. And that's exactly like you said. If they can get you to, they had cheated last time. If this time they can get you just not to show up, then it's a legitimate win. If you don't come to the fight, winning by somebody not showing up is still a win.
But that's standing your
today.
ground. That's not letting somebody walk all over you, and that's avoiding a fight. It's hey, you're not gonna trample over my rights, my property, my the things you own. You do your labors, you get taxed for it in a million different ways, like we talked about. And it's like, this should be our stuff. We shouldn't allow somebody to just come in. I should be able to defend it, and I shouldn't have to be taxed on every single thing.
Well, I'm still holding on to a little bit of hope that they have overplayed their cards so many times, and they've gotten really confident in the just look, every politician lies. I get it. I just want to put that out there for everybody. Yep. Every politician, every side lies. Most of them at least try to act like they aren't. Currently, anybody who has any speaking role for anything campaign for the Democrats right now no longer cares about trying to make it sound truthful. They don't care how easily disprovable it is. And I'm holding on to a little bit of hope that it has gotten so blatant that some people, I mean, with like y'all were saying, with RFK saying, like throwing his cards in with Trump, they're going to go that route when maybe they wouldn't have before. I'm seeing people who previously legitimately, which I can't believe they did this, but legitimately thought Joe Biden was the better option previously. But they didn't do the vote against Trump. They did the vote for Biden. But now they're thinking, like one of the guys hosts a podcast, and he's straight up said he's been Democrat pretty much his entire life, and he's considering voting for Orange Man bad, because just everything that the left is putting forward right now is just so crazy, so blatantly lying and things like that, that I think we're seeing a little bit of a shift. I don't think it's going to be dramatic. There's still going to be plenty of people who are not voting for Harris. They are voting against Trump. And I think that's actually where most of her votes are going to come from. But I'm holding out a little bit of hope that not too many people are going to be completely disheartened and stay home.
It's probably got to be tough to be a liberal in tough times. So the tougher the times get, I don't know how you can just hold on to the warm and fuzzy puppy dog and rainbows type policies. That only works when your society is thriving, your economy is thriving, things are growing.
Generally, that's when it's too late, though.
Yeah.
Real quick, Gal, you got to head out?
Yeah, I've got a bit of a headache.
Hope you feel better.
Yeah, I think I need to get more sleep.
All right.
But are you saying talking the current state of politics isn't making you feel calm and relaxed?
Yeah, maybe that's it.
All right. Well, have a good night. Get some sleep.
Yeah. Sorry. I couldn't
No
stay
worries.
this time.
Good to see you.
Yeah, you guys too. This was fun. You guys know where to find me. Go follow me on Twitter. I'll tell you. But yeah, have a good night, chat. Thanks for being here.
See you Friday.
See ya.
Bye. So I think that with the because Clue was asked a question. Let's see, I'll grab that real quick. Question. Nobody was wishing first. One. Yeah, I agree that nobody being punished with what happened the last election, with how egregious it was. That is that goes into the same thing I was talking about. This is trying to dishearten people and trying to get them to feel like there's just no hope and let their kind of depression or frustrations with it keep them away from doing what they know is right, which is get out there and vote every time.
Yeah.
I agree. But like I said, that this all goes back to what they want, which is us to just say, fine, and put our hands in the air and go, fine, there's nothing we can do, surrender, just pray for the best. And that's what they would love. I can't do that. I'll vote even if I knew there's a 99.9% chance I'm going to lose. I'll still go for that little iota of a chance just because I can't not fight, at least in my mind. Hey, Static, what's up?
How would they be punished? How do you want somebody to be punished? There's like we were talking about earlier, if they did 100 things different in the last election, that's 100 different people. How many people were involved in each thing, whether it was legal or at the election ballots or mailing or checking signatures or whatever the case is. Like, how do you even track all these people down? This was 4 years ago. Like, that's what there has to be massive change in policy. So the only solution is like, what do they say? Like, success is the best revenge. So just do well, win, do what you can. And because like I'm so like not think anything is going to happen with a lot of stuff. I've had such a loss in respect for leadership, in so many different industries and things like that in the past 4 years, with my situation with, results following the 2021 jabby jabs type stuff. So it's like, I don't know what accountability or punishment would even look like and when it would happen and if it would even have any effect. Some of them probably get a slap on the wrist and then they go work for, they go from the FDA to working at Pfizer, or Moderna going to work in, the EPA or whatever the case is. A lot of these people bounce around. If they were an executive in one entity, they can be an executive or in a different entity, or a staff member or HR manager or whatever the case is. So it's all kind of gross, but I try to stay positive and let's just let our success be the best revenge.
Well, yeah. If we get anything, we're gonna get a sacrificial lamb. That's how most of these things go. They never clean house. They never get like a sweep and try to get every person who did bad. They'll find one person that did bad, slap them on the wrist, hang them out there to dry, and then everyone will be like, "Look, people being held accountable." Yeah, one out of how many thousands and or tens of thousands at this point.
Yeah, it's not a one villain, Marvel type thing going on. It's all these people in different positions and we're just looking the other way or did something intentionally or try to get their bonus up, for whatever, hit a certain metric.
Most of that stuff is handled locally anyway. So unless it was some like actual like massive, huge nationwide organization doing it, you're not going to see anything big in the news with like federal prosecution happening. It's all going to be local news. Like recently, it was like one of the guys responsible for delivering paper to the ballot locations at Houston was found to have been working 2 full-time jobs and probably sleeping the entire time that he was supposed to be delivering paper, when like 6 or 7 ballot places ran out and people were just told, you can't vote because we don't have the paper to put in the printer.
Wow.
And so like they like pulled him to the side and like, oh, so we got this guy, but that's obviously just a very local thing. And I think that's probably the only thing we're going to see punishment wise is all very small local instances.
Well, the idea, it should just be incomprehensible that people would cheat this much or in different areas or be this incompetent or to skirt over things or whatever. It shouldn't be, it just shouldn't happen that way. It should be very simple of a process. It should be difficult to vote, but a simple process. It should be, putting effort into it, knowing what you're doing, what you're voting for, not doing it for other reasons or whatever. and actually doing it. A lot of people just don't vote. They're just like, oh, like we're saying, disenchanted, or they just don't care, you know, or they are too busy, or they'd rather be doing something else. But it's part of being a citizen, and it has an impact, as we like find out in our lives.
I worked with a guy years ago that he was so staunchly libertarian, he would not vote for anybody that did not 100% meet his criteria. So basically, he voted for nobody ever.
Well, then that person should run for office, because you're never going to find another you.
Yeah, it's like you could have to make a compromise at some point. But anyway, I'm sorry. We keep going on, and Devil is very politely trying to introduce Static, who just snuck in.
Sorry. You get me going on taxes and
I just wanted, say, what's up, Static? What's your opinion on this, man?
On the polls and everything?
You can, polls or just anything that we've talked about. You've missed, some of the conversation. So if there's anything that on those two that you wanted to talk about, we can always readdress.
Well, for any of that stuff, like I just don't give a rat's ass about polls or any of that stuff. People should stop watching them.
Yeah. Because
all it does is just bring you down. Because it doesn't matter if Trump's in the lead. If they come out with a poll that Trump's leading, that's just going to lull you into like some sort of fake sense of security, possibly, and make you think when the day comes that you don't need to really go out because Trump's already got it wrapped up. And then if he's not winning, you're like, oh, well, fuck, we're fucked, So stop paying attention to polls. Stop giving these people legitimacy, because this is nothing more than the fucking media, and the media sucks ass.
Oh, yeah. They're all making money off it. Every post about a poll, every conversation, or what we're doing right now. And I don't know, you got to take it as very one small slice of the pie, and it just gets a conversation started. It'd be nice if they could talk about policies of each person and making a poll on their policy where it's legit true, that'd be a different story. But it's all general healthcare, this, and Second Amendment, this, or
I 100%. They you put in the private chat, Drew. Trump's campaign has responded to Jack Smith's, I believe that's his name.
Yeah, I found it on Twitter, but I think it's coming from Truth Social. I can read it if I can make it through.
Yeah, go ahead if you want to read it.
In an effort to resurrect a dead witch hunt in Washington, D.C., in an act of desperation and in order to save face, the legally appointed special counsel, deranged Jack Smith, has brought a ridiculous new indictment against me, which has all the problems of the old indictment and should be dismissed immediately. His Florida document hoax case has been completely dismissed. This is merely an attempt to interfere with the election and distract the American people from the catastrophes Kamala Harris has inflicted on our nation, like the border invasion, migrant crime, rampant inflation, and the threat to the World War III, and more. Goes on, but I'm going to take a little break. But I thought that was good that he jumped in, made a response to this. It's ridiculous. So I think it's a positive. And he goes on to talk about Mark Zuckerberg and things like that. But it's good to have at least it out there that people can see. Yeah, it's like, oh, because all the people are like, oh, he's a felon, or 25, 30, whatever convictions, and all these things. But if you actually understand what each one was about, how they were, way off bounds with all these different lawsuits, and I pay attention to law kind of stuff, and they all made no sense. And like we heard, they're either getting dismissed or didn't make any sense, or the Supreme Court made a motion or made a decision on something that puts them all out of whack. So what I get from this is the guys bringing new stuff, but it's just slightly modified. So it's like, oh, it's not the same double jeopardy thing. If we're not going to do the exact same thing, we're going to make a few changes here or there, and it's still the same result is what they're looking for, or at least to keep it in the headlines.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad they responded to. I mean, it wasn't 100% necessary because we know they've been playing this fiddle the same way for how many months now. Prosecute him for something that's completely bullshit. Tie him up as much as you can. Burn through as much of the money as you can, and then ultimately either gets thrown out, he gets found innocent, or the ones he does get actually convicted of are probably going to be overturned because he only was found guilty because they were able to get a jury pool that hates him. It's so yeah, I think at this point we're just kind of going through the motions. Every single time they do this, it's like, oh look, another indictment, so they can add a number to it. He's been indicted this many times.
Yeah.
It's so lame at this point. It's just this cringiness that they don't get is actually hurting them. I don't think it does anything for him. I don't think the people who were cheering the first time he got indicted are the same ones cheering now. But most of the people who might have been cheering that first time, a lot of them are like, oh, another one. Okay, sure, whatever. I
They're the
think
people that just read the title of an article,
yeah,
which is completely manipulated.
My mom does that. She says, I can't stand to read so much negative news, so I just scan over the titles, and that's where I get my
what they
news
want.
from. Like, it's like, do you not understand that sometimes and very often actually you'll read the title, get into the article, and like a paragraph in, it'll contradict the title that they just fed you.
Yeah.
You gotta. I know it sucks. I know it sucks to get out there in the dirt, but you gotta do it. Otherwise, you're never gonna know what's actually going on.
And a lot of the time, it's a different person that writes the title than writes the article.
Yes. I mean, it's just like it's trailer studios that cut a trailer for a movie or not. It's almost never the studio that makes the film. That's why sometimes you get a tone in a trailer that's very different from what the movie actually is. Or they might give something away that maybe this movie wanted to keep as a surprise later on. But yeah, there's specific studios just for cutting trailers. So it's kind of like that. Like you were saying, somebody might just write the headline and be completely different from what the article says. They'll just see a couple buzzwords and go, oh, this, that, and the other. Kind of like, what was it? When the lady fainted at the Trump rally and they tried to make it sound like he had a medical event. He didn't have a medical event. There was a medical event. But if you read just the headlines, you might not know that.
Yeah. It's funny because we kind of do the same thing on YouTube. We'll make a video, this whole stream. If I handed it off to an editor and say, make something of it, it would be completely different. Some of the stuff that I think is important, they would cut out because they don't think it's important. Yeah, you can't just read a headline.
That's different because this is organic. So like we're living it, in real time with the comment section and stuff like that. They complete a whole long, supposed to be quality journalistic story. And if they pass it on to their editor or, however many hands in between, they're like, oh, add this to the title. Oh, remove that word because that could be offensive, or switch this, and then it's a completely different product.
I don't think they have any editors.
They can't afford them anymore.
Terrible.
What is journalism anymore? But no, I see what you're saying, Devil. But yeah, that's why people gravitate towards this panel, type stuff of commentary and really kind of digging into, ideas, thinking, policy, whatever the case is.
Well, yeah, no, I wouldn't have an editor chop up my live stream. I'm just saying that, like, it's like what I do with Devil's Angels. It's a 2-hour plus, like, us watching the movie, us talking and stuff like that. By the time Bug's done, hopefully it's a lot shorter than the 2 hours. But yeah, no, you wouldn't chop up a live stream. But what I'm saying is this idea that what is in its whole can be manipulated after it's diced up and be something completely different, is what I mean. Like have you ever seen, one of the best examples is somebody way back when took the Shining trailer, this horror movie, thriller, intense and stuff, chopped it up, put different music behind it, and using a couple clips, made it into a trailer of a heartwarming story about a loving father adopting a boy. And like it is, and he's got like that song, something Raspberry Hill. I could see the
Yeah.
city lights. That song playing in the background, and it's like you're like, oh my god, this seems like a Disney movie.
I mean,
but it's The
technically,
Shining.
it's all the same information, just reordered
Yeah.
and recontextualized to create something totally different.
Yeah, and then at the end, instead of that like deep dun dun music with and The Shining, it goes The Shining. And it's all like this heartwarming. It's very
And
so yeah, it's
I-
how you can clip it up is pretty funny.
Yeah,
something
maybe that's
also
natural.
to remember about some of these outlets, and I cannot remember who I heard this from. I like to cite my sources if I can, but I cannot remember. But apparently, you can pay like Rolling Stone so that you can write an opinion article for them. As long as you have enough money, you can technically write for them.
That
and then
explains
you
a
can-
lot.
Then you can pay to have yourself nominated for a Pulitzer Prize. So even if you don't win it, you can now claim that your shit take on politics was written by a Pulitzer-nominated journalist from the Rolling Stone. But you just
Wow.
basically buy your way into the entire process.
That's probably what's been going on. It's probably
Yeah,
pay
I need to
play.
look that up because that sounds crazy. But I swear I heard that fairly recently. I
Let
just
me
can't
know.
remember from who.
Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll try to be a Rolling Stone article writer.
You're gonna have to be like really sneaky, like these
Prize.
people that like submit scientific journals,
Yeah,
but it's
James
also
Lindsay.
all bullshit. Yes.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I heard what's her name? Was it Vera? Or no, I'm messing up. But on Geeks and Games Daily this morning, she was talking. Sorry, I'm messing up. Where I'm watching too many streams lately. But anyway, she did say that she's gonna apply for like some of these game developer, jobs. Like if they're like remote, or even if they're maybe even if they are like somewhere else, and just see if you can kind of get in or see how
Who?
they're asking questions.
Who was saying this?
I'd have to check on that. I am blanking on the name right now. Maybe it was on TNME tonight.
Game development is one of the worst jobs you can possibly ever do.
Yeah, she just said it just for shits and giggles.
And it's not just because of the environment. They bust your ass and they pay for shit because the demand and supply for gaming, like everyone wants to work in gaming so they can fucking pay you beans, and that's just what it is. If you want to make money as a developer, go do a website shit.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go with my gut on who I think I heard it from, and I can't search it because I think it was a throwaway line in a video. I think it might have been Gary with Nerdrotic. Probably something about the new Rings season coming up.
I just remembered I heard from Madame Savvy. She was on Tuesday night main event tonight. Yeah, she does some good research into different games and
She does
the
amazing
shady stuff
research.
that's going on. So yeah, she's been a good ad. She was on F&T last week.
Yeah, I didn't get to watch last week, so I did not know.
It was a girl
Okay.
show. Lots of girls.
Okay, I wanted to talk about this. In fact, I put it in the description. The mobile execution bus that they had at the DNC. They actually had an article. I think it was after like only 2 days that they had this article that came out and said that they had already essentially ended like 25 children.
Wow.
Wait. Oh.
And this was only like 2 days in.
Damn.
It makes sense because that is something that they would brag about, and that goes back to what I was saying earlier about they just don't care about hiding things anymore.
Do you
They
just
put everything out there?
do you just plan on going to the DNC for your abortion? Like, what are the odds? That seems really high. And then to just randomly decide, oh, you know what? Fuck it.
I wonder if one of the questions was what abortion number is this for you? And if it's more than like 3, it's like, what is going on?
Yeah. Planned Parenthood reportedly ended lives of 25 innocent babies in just 2 days.
Now, tell me that it's going to sound weird, and people have said this already, but how is that not like a sacrifice at the beginning of an event, like back in the day, on a pyramid or something? I'm not making any assumptions. Like we've all heard different stories about history, about sacrifices in so many different areas of the world and religions and stuff like that. How is this not a modern day version of this? Come to our big event, and while you're here,
well,
give something to us.
Yeah,
We'll collect it from you.
That is
we all know. We all know that they have become completely just deranged with this. It used to be what was the old saying? Rare, safe, rare,
safe, legal, and rare.
Yeah. And now it's, the baby can literally pop its head out and say mommy, and they'd lop its head off. They've lost all sense of decency. They can't even have the argument of, oh, it's just a fetus. I'm sorry. If you allow them to execute the baby a day before it is born, that's not a fetus. It's a baby. You can't even make that argument. I wouldn't take your argument either way. But they're shooting their own argument in the foot. But to go to this extent to where they're like, you know what, this is a good idea. Let's actually have a mobile clinic. Go and park in front of the DNC. It's one thing to sit there and endorse it and have that part of your platform and just not address it openly, But this is like the same thing as that whatever wolf comedian girl doing that like 4th of July parade for abortions that she did on her comedy sketch, where she's seen there in her Star-Spangled outfit doing the baton and with fireworks on it going, yay, I had an abortion or whatever. It's the same kind of this sick thing where they're like, we're not only going to support abortion up to birth and these kind of sick laws, we're going to champion it. We're going to celebrate it. We're going to act like this is the most amazing thing. And to have an abortion is so liberating. You should be happy. Shout your abortion. Let's celebrate.
You know why they have to do that, right?
Because they're pieces of dirty.
Because deep down in their soul, they know that they screwed up. And the only way that they can cope with it is to blow it out of proportion of how great a thing it is that they've done.
Yeah, it's just an inner self kind of thing. It's an individualistic, just like identity and all this stuff. It's about me type thing. It's like, oh, it's not a good time, or what if something goes bad, or it's just people not taking responsibility for their own actions. And we all do it in different ways throughout life in different ways. But the idea is we get better at this. Not like you said, be proud of it, shout it, and basically just hide from responsibility. And people are telling you, oh, this is the right thing to do. And people have different views on this issue, all across the board. But the bad thing about this is the people that are promoting it won't even take the question. They won't even talk about, development cycle or just whether the state should do it or a federal ban or a federal open for anything that can happen. They just said, nope, you can't have it. And then going that guys can't say anything about it. Men can't have an issue. Last time I checked, it takes 2 to tango for this result to happen. But when they shut down the whole question, they're saying, no, you can't question anything. This is whatever happens. And you got to pay for it through whatever Planned Parenthood, taxes and donations, and it's gross.
Well, before anybody gets upset, and like you said, because we're not supposed to be talking about this, the same people who champion this behavior also say that men can have babies in 2024. So shut up. We can talk about this. Yes, I know how ridiculous that sounds, but
nothing makes sense anymore.
Why we've gotten to this point where, back in the day, yes, undergoing surgery to have your tubes tied and the cost and viability of freezing eggs had a lot more risk. We've gotten to the point where so much surgery can be done as outpatient. They just put a a tool through a tiny little slit in your skin, and they do everything with cameras and such. I don't understand why, if this is such a big thing, because none of these people who champion this will say, I never want to have kids. Well, no, some of them do. But just spend all the money doing this and all the marketing. So much of Planned Parenthood's money has to be on marketing. And just do that. Take these ladies in, extract and freeze some eggs for if they change their mind later on when they realize they were being really stupid as a kid, a young adult, whatever. And then just go ahead and tie everything off, and then you don't have to worry anymore. You don't have to go in. You don't have to buy more pills. You don't have to have more procedures. Ultimately, the way some of these women live, it's going to be cheaper to do that, even if they pay out of pocket, than to go back to the clinic over and over and over again. Just go ahead. If you've decided you just don't want to deal with it ever or now, just make it easy. And I understand that's more of a surgery than a vasectomy for us guys. I get that. But it's not nearly as complicated as it used to be. And I don't understand why that is not even an option on the table.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, aren't abortions practically free?
Yeah. I think
That's
like
why.
here in California, we actually are like, they're trying to push to where like they'll get people to come here for them, like vacation to have an abortion.
God, that's disgusting.
Yeah, come to California. If your state puts restrictions on it, don't worry. We will freaking help you have an
Some
abortion here in
companies
California.
pay for it, pay for the travel because they'd rather pay for the travel and abortion than have a pregnant woman for 9 months, losing out on the productivity, and then after and all the other things go along with that, which is a good thing, which is a really good thing for a woman to be able to rest and do all that and, be in a good spot. But the company's looking at the bottom line. They're not looking to, so you can have your whatever free healthcare, free abortion. They're looking at their bottom line. And I think everyone knows that.
Yeah. Well, not the people who are actually championing this.
Well, yeah, it gets marketed out like
the people who say that corporations are bad are the same ones that say my corporation loves me because it's going to send me over to California to get this thing taken out of my body. No, your corporation doesn't love you. You are an asset. They want you working harder. Hit that typewriter, monkey. We have to churn out Shakespeare. It's
they're
dumb.
doing it for them.
Yeah. But this is something that you don't see a lot in that kind of group. I mean, the people who champion this, not necessarily women, because otherwise it's going to sound like, never mind. If it sounds sexist, screw me. It's the critical thinking. And I think that's come up several times we've been talking, is that people don't have critical thinking. And that's the tagline of one of my favorite podcasts, is think critically, act accordingly. And those two things are something that not enough people do these days. And unfortunately, we see it.
Yeah, it's critically at like one item, but then you got to look at the cause and effect, then over time. In the military, we call it like second and third orders of effects, because you could run over that hill, real fast and start shooting, but who's on the other side, or what's the weather going to be like, or where are you going to, you got to look at all these like contingent operations, things, effects, and I don't know why people can't do that.
Well, it's not taught anymore. So unless you have people around you that already do it, this is wisdom that we used to get from the old guys that would be at the barber shop, that they were just hanging out talking while you were getting your hair cut.
Football.
And you just don't have that anymore. And it's a dying trait.
That goes back to the survival skills, Yeah. Hang out with people that know how to do cool stuff, But some of us have met some people at these events, and a lot of people do really cool things. They have their own skills and hobbies, and that's what you got to do. You can't just be in a, fishbowl.
Yeah. I mean, the basic things. And I just thought it was common sense, because that's kind of how my brain works. I guess that's kind of how I was raised, is a vacation by myself, like in a state camp or state park in Texas. So it's not like it's crazy out in the wilderness or anything like that. When I went to go hike a trail, it was probably going to take me 2-3 hours. I still like sent a message to a couple of my family members, said, I'm doing this. This is the name of the trail. It should take me about this long. If something happens, now you know. And yeah, that is overkill. Me taking like a way more than what most people think first aid kit and like a emergency fire source on a kayaking trip down a river that is running right through the heart of nearly Houston. Yeah, that's overkill. But if something happens, I'm going to be prepared. And that's just kind of how I like try to approach other things is, yes, I like this candidate or whatever. It's like, or I like this policy, but what if? And then you got to kind of trace those what ifs down all those different rabbit trails before you can really kind of come to a conclusion. Because like you said, you don't necessarily want to charge over a hill or like Han Solo found around a corner and be faced with an army full of stormtroopers.
Yeah. I have to say that the left, a lot of their ways, at times when they do these things, I just sit there and think, is that how it is? Like they kind of just go, well, we're gonna do it, and we'll deal with the consequences later. And then, because you think this going to the extreme they have with abortion, where they literally kicked people off their party before, because they weren't all the way up to birth pro-abortion. I remember back when they first started pushing this stuff, there was a segment of just how you have the Freedom Caucus in the Republicans, that group of people kind of banded together. They had a band together of Democrats who were actually anti-abortion. They were Democrats, but they didn't agree with abortion, and they literally got rid of them. They said, we're just going to get you guys out no matter what. We're not going to give you a penny. You guys are out. Goodbye. Get out of here. You're not with our platform anymore. They threw out their own people because they didn't agree with them on this. And so I think they kind of overestimated. Maybe it has shored up the woman vote in a lot of ways, which is kind of disheartening. But I think it's hurt him also because I think there are plenty of women, plenty of people who probably are more on the liberal side who don't agree with it. And they sure as hell don't agree with it all the way up to birth. That's just disgusting. If a baby can live outside of the womb, if it can, and I hate any argument because every argument's fucking heartless bullshit. Like, oh, it's the woman's body. Why should she have to carry it? Well, because she made the choice to sleep with a dude without protection. It's much the dude's fault, but the dude's going to be on the hook no matter what the girl chooses. But yeah, like if I'm carrying somebody on my back, I pick somebody off the ground, I put them on my back to, let's say they sprained their ankle or whatever. I'm running them to the hospital. I get halfway down the trail and I go, God damn, I'm tired. And on this side is a cliff and this side is solid ground. I don't get to chuck them off the damn cliff and say, well, why should I have to carry them? I got tired. I didn't want to carry them no more, so I threw them off my back. Yeah, but you threw them off a cliff. You could have put them on the other side. There's no argument for abortion. There's just not. You can have surgery to take the baby out of you when, if it's before the baby's viable. Well, like I said, you're just going to have to live with discomfort for a month. Guess why? Because you made a choice. Yeah. Sorry, too bad you don't get to end a life because you just can't even. I don't want it to ruin bikini season. Kiss my ass. It's a life.
Yeah, I think I'm willing to entertain a little bit more discussion than a lot of people on the right, because I know my religious beliefs. Yes, once I believe religiously, life begins at conception. I'm willing just to try to make some sort of forward progress to entertain but when is it viable? When is the baby viable? When can the baby survive outside of the womb and things like this as a starting point for conversations on whether or not you should or when you can't. Because I do agree. I think it was probably Ben Shapiro years ago that says your policy should not be dictated by your religion. You should be able to argue it and make your points with logic. And that's the question, though, that so many that's kind of become popular now is, well, when is it a baby? When is the baby a baby? And the thing is that you see a lot more people on the right willing to say, well, it may be between here and here, but everybody on the, not everybody, but most of the vocal people on the left, it will be, it's not a baby till it's outside. And then even some of the crazier ones are, it's still not a baby until I decide later on. And that's what, that's, they've pushed, like you said, they've pushed so far, they've gotten too crazy. They're getting people who used to be on their side to go against them. And I just don't know. I don't know where they go from here, because I don't think this was the play for them.
Yeah, hopefully it's not an issue, or it's not going to continue to be an issue. There's so much bigger things going on. I think the Democrat Party is just trying to latch onto the abortion thing, because that's the thing that they can manipulate and move around and dance around, and you can't really say anything about it, you know, and have an impact or whatever. Like, they keep asking Trump or JD Vance what Trump's policy is. They're like trying to like trick him to say some things, but he's always said states' rights, you know. Roe v. Wade was removed, which was a federal, you know, policies, and now it's on the states, for good or bad. It could be less, it could be more when it talks about weeks or whatever. So, you know, it's never going to be a 100% issue. Everyone's going to be in favor of or not in favor of. It's going to be somewhere in the middle. So it's like it's got to be a state's issue. It's a morality thing. It's not a taxes thing.
As much as I don't like that some states are all for it, I have to say that moving forward, where it was a state's decision, is that it's in my title, liberty. It's where the closer you get to the government making decisions to your own little community, the better and usually more fair those government decisions are going to be. And they're going to be more accurate of those people's beliefs and decisions, things like that. I mean, it's like in Texas, counties and even cities can decide whether or not they're dry and can even sell alcohol in them. You can drink it in there, but you just can't sell it. Yeah, it's really dumb sometimes that there's a couple of dry counties still in the state, but I have to be honest with what I say, go smaller government to make your decisions like that. Yes, it is better for the states to make these decisions regarding abortion. Moving forward, hopefully the conversation will shift away from that just being the default at the very least, because for too many people, that's the default. It's not use protection or just don't for a little bit or anything like that. It's I don't have to worry about it because I can just go down to the clinic and take care of things.
You should have to have the choice of where you want to live. If there's a place, like you said, that supports it or doesn't, then at least you can move. But when it's a federal issue, you can't move out of the country and still have your same citizen rights, but not be a part of this thing that you don't believe in, whether it's abortion or anything, you know, any other issue that so many people are for or against. You shouldn't be required to be a part of that. You know, if there's a choice, that's where our constitution is made up for good or bad, for good or ill, you know. It should be that way. We're never going to agree to it. Like kind of like how we started this conversation. There's never going to be one politician you're going to agree complete with in all the ways. But
I have a question. Do we know of any studies out there that might like correlate to STDs and the amount of abortions someone's gotten?
I'm sure there is.
Planned
but
Parenthood,
I don't
I'm sure
know.
knows whether they'll share it with you.
That's not something I expected to be in my search bingo card.
If a woman's had at least 3 bouts of herpes, she has more likelihood that she's had at least 2 abortions.
It's a big issue, something that's never going to be solved. I remember just even when I was in civics class in like 9th grade in the 90s, it's like we're starting talking about like big politics topics, and the teacher's like, no talking about abortion, no reports on abortions, nothing on euthanasia, which I didn't even know at the time. I thought it was a young person in China. But until I like, oh, what is this thing that you don't want us to look up? So I looked at her to have a report on. So like now I'm like learning it on my own. I'm like, wow.
All right. Well, let's do some memes.
Just real quick before we get to the memes.
Yeah.
Based on the, I use the Brave browser and their search. So this is their AI kind of correlation of everything that's come up. In the last paragraph, it cites 6 different sources. In the last paragraph says, these findings collectively suggest a correlation between abortion legalization and an increase in STDs, highlighting the importance of STD testing and treatment before and after the procedures. So yes, turns out when you stop caring about the consequences of just having sex with some dude you met at a bar, there's more than just that one consequence.
Yeah.
Anyway, 2 memes. Let's laugh. We've been grumpy for too long.
All right, let's start off with I found real quick, I found that Shining trailer, so I figured I'd play that since I talked about it. Okay, can you guys see it? All right.
Yeah. Go full screen.
Yeah.
Who uses white mode on absolutely everything?
Shut the fuck
I guess
up.
the devil, because the devil would want to do the exact opposite
You-
of anything that is
I
You
right.
and
nearly-
freaking Gal, you guys bitch about it all the time. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not giving into your peer pressure, you damn bastards.
I nearly called you out for white mode X earlier.
I don't care. I'm not doing it. I'm not. You won't break me.
Your eyeballs will thank you.
The only man who
Meet
can't be
Jack
tempted is the
Torrance.
devil himself.
I'm outlining a new writing project. He's a writer. Meet Danny.
Uh-oh, it's being dumb.
He's a kid looking
Is
for a
it?
dad.
Is it?
Yeah, do you want me to share it?
Yeah.
It's buffering.
I can put it in the private chat, I
Yeah.
guess. Okay, let me.
I'm thinking I've seen this before now that I actually see it.
Let's see. Share. Let's see.
Dang it, Sam's on
Copy
your
link.
side. He says dark mode is for puny mortals.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
Savage
link.
Dad too. Man, never mind.
Yeah. All of us older dudes who have balls. Okay. Now
All
I
of you
will-
who hate your retinas.
All right. Here you go, Static. I just DM'd it to you.
Oh, you DM'd it? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, it says failed. Let's try again. There you go. Now it's in there.
Damn, your internet sucks.
It just come in here to pick a fight.
I came in here because I saw you went down one, and I was like, all right, I could jump in there.
Yeah, all my I've got a couple video ones. They're all gonna probably do the same damn thing. I hate that. That's why I need a co-host.
Allow me to share a proper screen.
I will send you all the video ones if you want to share them all.
Yeah. That works.
Uh,
It's ready to go.
okay. Let me. I'm gonna let me send these real quick to you, because otherwise I will forget.
Oh,
We're
Okay.
doing it live.
And we're doing it live.
Sounds like there's going to be another debate. They're just working out the details.
Yeah, they
September.
said that they are literally on the last little bit
Oh.
of getting it all set. The only thing they're arguing at this particular moment is the mics. She wants the mics on, and I guess he doesn't want them on. Is the only thing they're working out. Once that happens, supposedly they are going to have another debate, which hopefully this one I'll actually be able to be part of.
yeah, that's the 10th.
Yeah, I was on the last one.
It's on a
That's
Tuesday.
pretty cool. That bingo you're talking about? Or drinking contest?
Oh, I miss drinking. Ever since I got this job, I haven't been able to drink one damn time.
Did you guys see how RFK is being kept on all but like one of the ballots he tried to get off?
For real?
Yeah.
So you're saying
There's a
he's not getting off the ballots?
Yeah, there's a bunch of states saying that he has to stay on now.
That's
Okay.
a weird thing
Weird.
to do.
There we go.
Meet Jack Torrance. I'm outlining a new writing project. He's a writer looking for inspiration. Lots of ideas. No good ones. Meet Danny.
Mr. Torrance,
He's a kid looking for a dad.
There's hardly anybody to play with around here.
What's up, Doc?
Jack just can't finish his book.
I don't want to sound melodramatic, but there's no way to make it economically feasible.
Here's to 5 miserable months.
But now, sometimes what we need the most is just around the corner.
I'm your new foster father.
I'd do anything.
Climbing up on Salisbury Hill.
I thought that
I can see the city light. My heart going boom, boom, boom. Son, he said, grab your
So
things,
wholesome.
I'm gonna take you home.
Shiny.
Bravo. God, I got so many memories. Like when he was opening that door, I'm like, I know what's coming. I know what's coming. But
yeah, they
complete
make it so
misdirect.
heartwarming. Damn Disney movie.
yeah, that could be a lifetime movie.
All right, I will show the ones that aren't videos. I sent all the ones that are videos to Static, and he can bring those up. But I will bring up all the ones that aren't, since they won't freeze on me. I'm turning things over to my hoe.
No.
The Newport freaking like outfit is fucking. Oh god, I want one of those just for the fucking like just the nonsense of it. I would wear that. I don't smoke, but
What's her leg tattoo says Willie was here? Oh.
Willie Brown.
You see the blue meme off to the side.
Oh no.
Oh, Parrot. Oh. All right. Yeah, I better get that off the screen. Okay. Some of the other memes that are getting attached to these, I probably should look before. All right. Accurate. All right. That one's video one. Okay. Then we got this one. Oh no, that's the video one too. Okay, so yeah, we're down to just video ones. All right. So I will share Statics instead of mine. Here we go. All right. Did you guys see that video of them doing that?
What the hell was that video even about? Like, I saw the actual thing. It made no sense.
I don't know, but you think somebody would have told them, you pounding your fist looks like you're jerking off 2 dicks.
Yeah.
Well, you haven't seen the one where they moved in the Hitler clip? With him
Yeah, I've
doing
seen
the
that
pounding
one.
fist? Yeah.
Yeah, the Hitler, all of a sudden you see Hitler banging the thing and you're, oh, that's not a good look. All right.
I just noticed the vodka bottle that entire time. I didn't notice it.
Ah, yes, the vodka bottle.
Shock's been watching the Nancy doing that freaking all day. All right. I think we should have what, 2 more?
Did you guys see the clip from the DNC where Nancy Pelosi said that Congress people are reptilian?
No.
Oh man.
I think I saw that clip.
I want to see that clip.
Like came out of the closet.
Yeah, admitting to stuff he didn't mean to. The hero we need. Call me Trump. That's good.
Awesome.
Coming this November.
And then we have one more, I believe. All right. Oh, yes.
He said, jokingly, of course, you know that. He said, he lived for 200.
Yes.
Jokingly, of
I'm
course,
all
you know
for
that.
it.
He said if he would
The
stop
goofy
eating fast food, he'd live for 200 years. And they really went after him on that one, didn't they?
It's creepiness. Oh man. All right. Let's do some outros, get you guys out of here. First we'll start off down at the bottom. Beard of Liberty, what do you got going on this week? Where can people find you?
Well, right after this, I'm probably going to try to do a little bit of game streaming. I've been doing that over on my own channel, actually just doing something to do it. Been going through a lot of Fallout London, but tonight I think I'm going to take it easy and just do some probably Helldivers 2. We'll find out. Haven't made a decision yet or even set up a thumbnail, so it's going to be off the cuff, folks. Later this week, I'll be on with Roman of the Empire. We'll cover some pop culture topics this week on a free range. And then Sunday afternoon with Stark of Iron for some Fallout shenanigans. Just a couple of nerds sitting around talking video games. But if all that's a little hard to follow, I set up a Linktree/Beard of Liberty where I've got times and links to the channels that I'm on because I pop up pretty much wherever these days. So, yeah, there's that. And thank you for having me back on, by the way. I know it's been a little while.
Oh yeah. And like I said, everyone's always invited back on. You know, I like talking to the same people over and over again because if I talk to you once, chances are I like you. So, you know, you're always welcome back on. All their info is down in the description. If you need to find their ats or anything like that, that's where you can find them. And yes, do follow everyone on all their different platforms. Next up, we have Static 2020. Where can people find you? What you gonna be doing this week, Static?
Yeah, you can find me on my channel, Static 2020, where Monday nights I do my political podcast called Monday Night Bloodbath. And Thursdays, I do another podcast called The Weekend Pregame, which is political in nature, but also like weird shit on the internet. So we do that. And then, you know, we get into pop culture stuff. Like we watched the first couple episodes of The Acolyte and everything. It wasn't as cringy as I was hoping it would be. So we didn't keep watching it. Unlike Velma. I was hoping it'd be like cringe levels of Velma. I didn't get that. And since I have an addiction of cringe, I'm going to be starting a gaming stream, putting myself through a struggle session of Dustborn because I really want to obtain the superpower of canceling people. And so be on the lookout for that. And then, you know, I'll probably be on, unless something comes up, I'll be on Ballbusters and Saturday Chatterday. And then tomorrow night I'll probably be on Alf's channel for some World of Warships. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Nice. Next up we have Drew Outstanding. Where can people find you? Do anything?
Yep, Drew Outstanding on X, Outstanding Infield. Yeah, I do spaces over there, host those about some topics you can't always see on YouTube. But then on YouTube, Operation Outstanding Infield is where I do my adaptive sports. I'm working on some longer form videos and just video essay type stuff I'm working on doing some scripts for. So those should be out soon in the next week or so. Otherwise, yeah, I should be on a couple different channels in the next week. A lot of vets talking if it works out. Otherwise, I think, yeah, Ballbusters too. I think in about a week.
We're still gonna do those the videos, right? The patriotic video list. Do you still want to do that?
Yeah. Because that'd be a good lead in into, for one, September 11th, which is now known as Armed Forces Day. So that's coming up next month, and then in November, I want to get more into. So maybe I get a good idea, do some Veterans Day type stuff for November. So we can I'd like to do some military movie rankings, patriotic movies, stuff like that. So happy to work together.
Yeah. I was asking because that leads into something announcements that I need to make. Get Ranked is coming back. Static and a couple of the other guys have been giving me the same shit that I need to bring back Get Ranked. So how we're going to do it is, since I do Wrong Think every other week, what I'm going to do is every week that I'm not doing Wrong Think is going to be Get Ranked. And so this week, next week, coming up here, we are going to do Battle Cookie. Static is helping me with it. Anyone who's been following kind of our group on Twitter knows that Melee K kind of started a battle royale over oatmeal cookies, if they're good or bad. And it's so we decided we're going to do a list and hash this out once and for all. So if you liked Get Ranked, if you miss it, it is coming back next week. Check that out. Obviously keep checking out Wrong Think. If you enjoy this show, check me out on the pub every Friday going into Saturday. This week is Kinzo is back again, and I believe we're either going to have Kami Mark or somebody else. There'll be more than one guest. And check out the videos for Devil's Angels. We just finished watching the third one. I just have to do some timestamps for Bug, and then I'll hand it off to him. He'll edit it, and the third episode, The Fog, should be out here in the next couple of days, hopefully. And then after that, Frequency. But they've been doing pretty decent, so do check those out. They're fun to make. Hopefully they're fun to watch. And we will see you guys next time. Bye.
Peace.